Continue. So I'm going to get the slides up now. So hold on a second. So, right, can you see those?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I'm going to enlarge those. So Matthew was with us on the last session. I'm just going to move. I've got your pictures through my slides. So I've got to move you around a bit. Right. So Matthew was with us on the last session. So we started to look at my my model around how you generate revenue. So you start with having a clear purpose, then you end up thinking about being relevant. So the clear purpose is why you set out your business in the first place. So it's really clear that people don't talk about why they do what they do. They talk about what they do and how they do it, but understanding your story, if you remember, and how relevant you are, making sure you're relevant. For instance, accountants will struggle in the future because actually relevancy of accountancy will be all done on an app. So you've got AI coming in to disrupt the marketplace. So that's going to, many copywriters may struggle because actually you can do it through AI. So just looking at your business and making sure you're checking every now and again that what we're doing is relevant. Okay. For my industry, everything can go online, as you know. So you could get the best speaker in the world on the topics I'm talking about on YouTube and never buy my services. So I'm under threat too. So just looking at where potentially there are opportunities and threats around how relevant you are. The next thing is so you've got your clear purpose, you're staying relevant. It's about outclassing the crowd. How do you position yourself in the marketplace so that you win the business? Considering there's loads and loads of people that do what you and I do, how do we stand out from the crowd? So we're going to start looking at that today, and then do that in a way that actually once we stand out and we've got our positioning clear, how do clients find us? How do we get to clients? How do we find them? How do they find us? And then once they've found us and we're engaging with them in a sales environment, how inspirational are we and how good are we at closing those deals? Which leads to, if you are successful at doing all of these stages, then you'll be looking at how you manage your capacity and your time, considering there's probably only one of you. So how do you actually scale your business? How do you manage your time? How do you manage your capacity? I've got somebody else joining now. So welcome them in. Get them on screen so I can see them. Is it Ivan? Hello. Right. And they're going to appear in a second.
Hi.
Hi, Ivan. How you doing?
Hi, Steve. Hi.
Yeah, you good?
I literally just saw it a few minutes ago. I thought, oh, interesting.
I'll jump on that. Yeah. Okay. Well, we've literally just started because we've been discussing. Matthew is in Turkey enjoying a villa for three families, but there's only one family. So he's living it up, and we're all working hard. So
Hello.
Slightly jealous.
Yeah. Hello. How you doing?
Yeah, that's it. So we've had a tour of the villa, so you haven't missed much. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, I'll just go to the top of this model again. So basically, last time round we started to talk about time management, etc. This time we're talking about the book I wrote, Turning on the Profits Tap, and this kind of check-in list for you about how you generate revenue. So it starts with having a clear purpose, so understanding why you do what you do, and telling your story a little bit around what you do rather than how you do it and why you do it, how you do it and what you do and how you do rather. And then we can look at staying relevant, because a lot of companies now, you got to be careful that you stay relevant, considering the marketplace changing, AI is coming in, lots of things are happening. So just checking in that you are still relevant to your clients. Then actually, how do you outclass the crowd? How do you position yourself in the marketplace so you are totally and utterly the person to go to? And then once you've done all that, you can still be the best kept secret. So how do clients find you and how do you find clients? What's your strategy for that? And then looking at, if you do all that well, then you're going to be into a sales environment. So how do you inspire people to buy from you? What do you do? How do you do that? And then if you do that successfully, your challenge will be around your time, your capacity to deliver your service. Because in the early days, you've only got 1 or 2 clients, you can love them to bits. But when you've got 20 or 30 clients, how do you still love them to bits? how do you still provide that quality? So it's the time leading into the last bit of this jigsaw, which is the service. So if you can do all these well, and I do a tick cross neutral on these, tick, yes, I've got a clear purpose. Yes, I'm relevant. Yes, I can outclass the crowd. And neutral is, well, I'm not too sure our positioning's right. And then that means it's difficult to find clients, it's difficult to get into sales, or you might have the wrong sales meetings, for instance, because if you don't position yourself right, you'll be having cups of tea with people that don't fit your criteria. And then you'll have loads of time and you'll be able to serve any client really well because you'll have loads of time to do it. So if you think about the outclass the crowd bit, if you get your positioning right and you can really hone in on that and market that well, then the rest of the model is going to flow nicely for you. If your positioning is incorrect, it's going to mean that you're going to have meetings with people that simply aren't right for your business and are not going to pay you what you want. So we're going to focus on the outclass the crowd bit today a little bit more. But if you do this right, typically people will come back and buy the next product from you, and they'll also refer you all over town. So if you get this model right, you're simply going to be able to generate good revenue consistently, and people will be referring you, and people will be coming out and asking for new products and services. So just running through that model, anybody got any comments on it? Does it make sense? Any thoughts? Yeah. Anybody can see an area where they would need to put some effort?
I think I probably need to put effort across all of them, frankly, but
yeah, I think I just checked. Yeah, it's easy to forget to keep checking in on this stuff. So just making sure you are still relevant with your clients, that kind of stuff. But I'm going to move into that space now where we look at outclassing the crowd. So I'm going to move on a few slides now. Let me get past all of this. So one of the things that I look at with companies before we go into positioning is, do you want to stay boutique and profitable? That's small and profitable. Are you going to build a scalable business? So, ask yourself the question, which side of the equation there do you sit? Do you want a lifestyle business, or do you want to work 24/7, push really hard? That's another one. I've got a client who's windsurfs all summer and he does IT all winter, for instance. So he has a lifestyle business. Then is your intention, is your intention to keep this business or sell it? Are you going to work hard for 5 years and sell it? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to keep it? Are you going to pass it on to your family? So is it a keeper, or is it, are you rebuilding it just to sell? And then is it about making income now, or is it about building something of value where the money flows? So it can be income generating, or it can be an equity build. And then is it price orientated, or is it value orientated? So are you a Lidl's or are you an Aldi's in that situation? Are you selling on the value, or are you piling it high and selling it cheap on price? So some considerations for you to think about your business. What do I want my business to look like? Is it, if you go on the right hand side of this, you're going to build something that's scalable. It's 24/7. You're going to work on it. I'm going to sell it in 4 or 5 years. I've got to build the value therefore, so it's something worth buying when people come to buy it. And I'm going to work on actually it being a value proposition, it being something of real value. Versus actually, you know what, I want to stay small and profitable. I've got a lifestyle. I intend to keep it, and I'll worry about whether I pass it on to the family or just close it down. And I want it to generate income for me now, and I'm going to actually price it so that it's attractive and affordable. So you can kind of see you could be either side, or it could be a mix of these, but it just helps you think about, what am I doing with my business? Okay. Any comments on that before I move on?
no.
They're good questions. I suppose I haven't really thought about those because I'm in a service kind of role. So it's more about people, I suppose, than it is about product or company. But I mean, they're relevant questions. I mean,
well, you're going to go on probably be on the value. If you're dealing with people, it's more on the values. What do you do, Ivan?
I'm an architect. So
So you're probably going to be on a little bit on the right hand side of this, and some on the left maybe, because you can still have a boutique lifestyle business doing what you're doing. But actually, when you're dealing with people, it's probably about delivering value. You know, So yeah, but just yeah.
I think with our business, it's sort of we're dealing with people.
Well, yeah, I think every business deals with people,
Yeah.
but it's very but actually we're not certain which side of that we should be on. I know we tend to end up on the left-hand side, but you know, we there's a business we know in the area that's likely to be closing down next month. They've sent a letter around to everyone, and I'm thinking, well, we don't want to end like that.
No.
So should we be looking really to building a team or collaborating so that we can actually have something of value to sell later on?
Yeah, well, you can think about your legacy with this, because that's what you're talking about, you know, and your succession planning, which is what we're talking about there. And I think we don't really consider that when we start our businesses. We're just going to do it and then we'll see where it goes. But actually, a lot of companies now are using an EOT, which is the Employee Ownership Trust, so where they sell it to their employees and exit that way. But you don't have to. Some people just literally do close their businesses, or they find someone who's doing what they do and they offer their business to them for a price. So so just having to think about your exit strategy. But you know, this is if you're selling widgets, basically it's an income-based model usually. But if you're in the service industry, it's probably going to be a relationship rather than transactional. And it's probably going to sit more on the right hand side, apart from scalability and 24/7. Probably the bottom two, it's probably going to be about building value and selling a value product. But we'll move on from this, because I just wanted to get you thinking about, you know, what sort of business am I actually running, or do I want to run in the future? Okay, and if I want to build something to sell, I better think about how I'm going to do that.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with positioning now. So anybody got any ideas of what positioning is? What does it mean, and whether it matters? Anybody got any thoughts on that?
I think for me, I find it quite hard to know because I don't really examine competitors a huge amount.
No.
So I suppose it's a good thing to think about, but I'm a bit in the dark as to where I would actually position myself, really, truthfully.
Yeah, is it just you, or you got a team?
Well, it's a small team, so I have another architect, and we have a bit of freelance help. So
yeah, okay.
So you know, pretty small scale, which is on the boutique end, obviously, and scalability could be done, but it would be, I mean, tricky at this point.
Yeah, well, it may be that just thinking about it now, where do you want it to go? We'll prompt some ideas for you as you go forward. But if you're early into your career around this, or early into your business around this, I won't worry too much about it. But there will be a point where you think, actually, you know, if I want to retire, what am I going to do? You know, are there people in the business that want to take it on? What's my exit strategy? What's my succession planning? So, but the positioning thing, it's really hard to work out your positioning sometimes. So we're going to look at it in a little bit more detail. It's quite critical, because if you think about anything you buy, typically which shops you go and buy in, those shops have positioned themselves with you. That's why you go to them. They've created a position in your mind, and that's why you walk into them. So we're going to start to think about your positioning. So if I was doing this as a group, we'd discuss it, but we're going to do this a little bit differently. So I want you to look at these characters, and I did this at the University of Southampton once, a couple of years back, and none of the students knew any of these people, because obviously, so hopefully you'll know some of them. So you've got Stelios, EasyJet, you've got Maggie Thatcher, you've got Anita Roddick, Body Shop, you've got the Pope, you've got Richard Branson, you've got Alan Sugar, you've got Nelson Mandela, Hitler, and Beaky Boy. I can't remember his name now. From
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
That's it. Bill Gates from Microsoft. Yeah. So you kind of got these people now. Probably you've never met any of these. Some of you might have met them, but they've all created a position in your mind, really, around what they do. So when you think of Stelios, what would you think his positioning of his business is?
To the masses, I suppose.
Yeah, to the masses, affordable flight. It really, you said to the masses. Yeah, okay. And Maggie Thatcher, what's her positioning? What was she known for?
Strong
She's-
leadership.
Yeah. Do you remember what phrase coined her?
Oh, she was
Iron Lady.
Iron Lady. So she was the Iron Lady, okay, and and nobody messed with her, and she created her own world, so people knew what she was about and how she behaved. And then you got Anita Roddick, Body Shop. Do you know what she stood for? What one word that defined her?
ethics.
Yeah, it was ethical products. So she positioned herself on ethical products, and she didn't compromise. She didn't test on animals, all that kind of stuff. So she's very strong in her positioning around that. I put the Pope on here because he's different to everybody else on here, because they have the best succession plan in the world, because whoever puts that garment on, there's an automatic positioning around that person. Okay, so they're the richest company in the world, and there's a reason for that, because they've got the best succession planning. Richard Branson, I put him next to Alan Sugar because they're contrasting, but they're both in the public eye. So what would you say Richard Branson's positioning is?
I feel like he's a bit of a maverick type.
Yeah, he's a maverick.
But also lifestyle sort of,
Yeah,
gives you ideas of lifestyle and affluence, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so he's kind of like the people's champion. He goes into companies to improve them. He's quite creative. He breaks down barriers. That's the kind of image you get around him. So that's his kind of position in the world. Whereas you look at Alan Sugar, equally successful but completely different. What would you say about Alan Sugar?
Very authoritative.
Yeah, he's very tasky. Doesn't suffer fools. Very blunt. Completely opposite to Richard Branson. And he's going to get there, and he's going to break down all the barriers to get there, and he's going to bulldoze his way through, isn't he? He's kind of that kind of blunt instrument, if you like. So
Yes,
their
some
position,
hard-nosed.
Yeah.
So their positioning, and if you work for Alan Sugar or you work for Richard Branson, you're going to get a different experience because of the way they are and their position in the marketplace, and how they do what they do. And he was, Alan Sugar was a barrow boy. He used to sell Amstrad at the back of his car boot, and then he just grew his business. And then you got then you got someone like Nelson Mandela. So, what would you say about his positioning? What's the word that defined him?
Freedom.
Yeah, freedom. Yeah, and it's interesting because I've done this worldwide, and people look at them and they go, yeah, he's either a freedom fighter or he's a terrorist in their minds, depending on how they've encountered what he's done. But yeah, so he stood for freedom, and then even when he was in prison, he came out and he forgave everybody and stuff. So yeah, so his thing was freedom. Hitler, probably the best motivator that ever lived, with the wrong intent. But yeah, so you can see, I don't want to dwell on him too much, but you can see he created a whole position around himself. When a nation was weak, he was strong. And then you've got Bill Gates. How would you describe him? Well, do you remember what his vision was? Do you remember what his vision was in the early days?
So everyone's got a PC or something.
Yeah, everybody had a PC on their desk. When
A
PCs
visionary.
So he's very visionary, and he's and he's quite geeky. I call him Geeky Boy because he's not a typical leader. He sits in the background. He's very clever, but he sits in the background around what he does. Okay, so the thing here is they've all created a position in your minds, even though you've never met them. So this is a lesson for you to think about: what position am I creating in the world? What message am I showing? How am I showing up, and how are people reading me? Okay. And before you panic about this, one of the best ways to discover this very quickly is to go to your clients that bought you, that could buy your services from anywhere, and go, can you tell me why you bought me or bought our services? And they will tell you stuff about yourself that you go, okay, never realized that's why you bought me. And it could be speed to market, consistency, always available, always personable. They'll tell you all sorts of stuff that will actually start to be who you are and what you stand for and what your business stands for, if that makes sense. So just start to ask your customers, and they will surprise you with what they tell you. Okay,
This is these questions come around branding, I think, as well. It's
Yeah,
essentially branding, isn't
Yeah, you get your positioning, and you get branding that flows off the back of it. So when you sorted out what you really stand for, then you build the brand around it. Yeah.
it?
So Richard Branson, for example, he's very synonymous with his brand, but if we took him out of the equation, Virgin would still be there, wouldn't it, in the background? So, and that's the challenge we have as we grow our businesses. If we have all the relationships with the clients, especially in an architectural world, and then we try and sell our business, and then we have all the relationships with the clients, we're in danger of having no value in our business when we try and sell it, because people are buying you, not the business. So at some point in your journey, you need to transfer those values and what you stand for to the business, so the business can sustain those values without you. If that makes sense. So it's just as you evolve your business. So if you think about positioning, it's thinking in reverse. It's the position you hold in the mind of your client. More importantly, establishing the correct position in the mind of your client. So it's not what you think, it's what they think. Okay, this is the scary bit. You've got to work out how you want to show up so they see you the way you want to see them, but you've got to get them to see you that way. That makes sense. So it's thinking in reverse. Okay, and establish the correct position in your client's mind. So to give you an example of how this would work, the importance of positioning. If I had a silver tray and you were buying it and you saw it in a car boot sale, how much would you pay for it, do you think?
£5.
£5, right. Now, we take that silver tray and we put it in their jewelers in the front of their window in the high street, all polished up, looking nice. What would you pay for it now?
Don't know.
Really,
200 quid.
100 quid or so. And then if we take it to Pride of Place in Harrods in the front of their window, how much would you pay for it?
500.
500. So the point is, it's not about the product, it's about how you position the product. Okay, so it's not about your business, it's how you position your business. Okay, so that you get and attract the right clients. Okay, so what you probably want to work out is who do I want to work with, and how do I position my product so that it actually is attractive to them. Okay, rather than I'm doing architecture, anybody will buy me. Who do I really want to work with? Okay, and how do I go and find those clients, and how do I make myself look attractive to those clients?
Yeah.
So it's about
that's I suppose on a tangent there. I suppose that's slightly difficult because, well, personally, I have quite a range of different types of people. So you can be one thing to one person, and something else project. But
yeah, I think we all suffer that a little bit. But how old is your business now?
Well, I've been, I think probably 2007 was when I left employment, and then since then, 2012 was when I set up on my own. It was a partnership for them.
Yeah. So one of the things,
over 10 years anyway.
Yeah. So one of the things you can think about is, because this comes up a little bit, sometimes when you grow your business, you end up repositioning your business because actually you find your sweet spot for your clients that are the good clients that pay you well and don't moan, versus the clients you started with where you probably on less money with them and they won't moan more. So you earn the right to reposition yourself at some point for the better clients. And the question to ask yourself is, if I can define the types of clients I want, I would need less of those to cover lots of the smaller ones. Okay, so could I drop clients off? So for you, for instance, you might go, this is the type of client after, this is the sort of money I expect them to pay for me, so I could pre-qualify them. And next time I bring my client on, I'm going to drop one of these lower clients off. So you slowly start to reposition yourself in a market where you're getting the quality clients you deserve because you've been in business long enough and earned the right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something to think about, but there's nothing to stop you doing whatever you want. You can still stay with some clients that aren't paying you as much. But if you think of profitability and scalability, if you had less clients paying you more, for example, because you've earned the right, it'd probably be more enjoyable because they would appreciate you more, and the quality and the type of work you were doing, you'd earn more money off it for the same amount of time. So it's just thinking about that, because I'm not here to tell you how to run your business. I'm here to challenge your thinking around it, really. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So just have a think about who are the clients who want. So let's just take this a little bit further. So how do you make an impact? What's your defense mechanisms against a saturated market? What is the answer? So how do we stand out in the crowd when it's really, really actually everybody's doing what we're doing? How are we different? So there's your business. When you're trying to market it, you've got all these things. You've got email, ads, mail, your view, referrals, PR, all this stuff's going on when you run a business to promote it. But if your messaging's wrong, you're going to attract the wrong clients. So it's really about, let's get this positioning clear. Who are we really after, and how are we going to market ourselves so we're attractive to those individuals? So focus on the perception of the client, not the reality of the product. It's the silver tray thing. Harrods, we want them to see us in a certain way. It's not about our products, it's about the way they see our product, the way they see us. So it's thinking in reverse. Now, if you think about anything, there's loads of people doing. So how do we get in our clients' minds? How do we stand out? How will we get noticed? So if you take, let's take supermarkets as an example. You named all the supermarkets. You've got Aldi's, Lidl's, what have you got? Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Tesco Express. Who else we've got? We've got tons of them. So let's just write.
Waitrose.
Sorry.
Waitrose.
Yeah, Waitrose. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Morrison's.
Morrison's. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm just writing these down. Got Aldi's, Waitrose, Morrison's, or Lidl's.
M&S.
Sorry.
M&S, Marks and Spencer's.
Oh yeah, M&S. Yeah, yeah. Any others? So I've got Aldi's, Waitrose, Morrison's, Lidl's, M&S. Any others?
Can't think of any more.
Yeah, I've probably got a list here somewhere. So we've got a whole bunch there. So Aldi's and Lidl's are very similar. They were two German brothers that fell out and then set their separate companies. But if you had to describe Aldi's or Lidl's, what do you think their message is? Do you know what their message is?
They're on the low budget, aren't they? Is that
Yeah, they're low budget, spend a little, live a lot, isn't it? Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Don't change your lifestyle, change your supermarket. Whereas Waitrose, what's their message?
Quality, I guess.
Yeah, it's dripping chocolate, and all that kind of stuff. No mention of price. It's just all on value. Morrison's, what's their positioning, do you think? Their messaging?
I'd say they're mid-range, but I may be wrong there. I've never really thought about it.
Yeah.
They're sort of middle tier, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, they are.
And everybody's.
But they went on a messaging to say homegrown produce, local homegrown produce, didn't they? They didn't do price. They just did, fishmonger and all that kind of stuff. So they tried to position themselves around local services. I'll put Asda down because I forgot about Asda. Asda, spend a little, live a lot. Is it? No, it's not. It's well, there's
every little helps. Was that Asda?
Every little helps, isn't it? Yeah. So they kind of yeah. And then what about Lidl's we've done? What about M&S? We've done M&S as well, haven't we? So well, no, we haven't done M&S. They're kind of high end as well, aren't they? So
yeah, they're all about
yeah. So the reason they've done all of this, I've got an example of this. Yeah, here we go. The reason they've done all this is because people create ladders in their minds. So when they're going shopping, they think, oh yeah, they'll actually go into Waitrose and they'll go into Lidl's and walk out with a Waitrose bag as they go down the road, simply because they don't want to be seen going in there. So they recognise they all sell the same stuff. So what they've got to do is they've got to differentiate themselves and find their tribes. So what they did was they worked out, well, do we want affordable, or do we want to be reliably expensive? Okay, or do we want to be somewhere in the middle? So, and their messaging followed through on that. Okay, so think about this for your business. Where are you now on this ladder, and where would you be on this? Where do you want to be on this ladder? Because you might have started out with cheap and cheerful clients, but now you've earned the right to actually be working with more valuable clients. So it might be a bit more pricey, and selling more on value. Okay. And there's no rights or wrongs with this, but these people create these ladders in your minds. So I put this up for a bit of fun, but it's relevant to what we're talking about. Okay. So, so this is the perceptions that have been created in people's minds and how they make buying decisions. Okay, it's all based on emotion around, is it cheap and cheerful, or is it more expensive, or somewhere in between? And there's emotional messages that go with it. So, and they've got this one here as well. Okay, so just remember, cheap isn't always best. So just to think about where do you sit on this whole thing? Where would you position yourself now, and where might you want to shift your position to? And you might find it naturally happens, it naturally occurs that you end up working with better quality people simply because of the quality of the work you've been doing. People are attracted to the quality you're doing and the referrals they're hearing. So you can naturally shift on this by the client's perception of you without you doing anything. But where do you want to sit on it? And there's no rights or wrongs on where you sit on this, but it just will determine the type of people that show up. Okay, so just have a think about that for a while. Okay. Now I'm going to put these 3 mountains up. Can you name the tallest mountains in the world?
Everest.
Everest, yeah.
K2.
K2, yeah. And the third one?
Not sure about that.
Yeah, that's tough. The third one's tough. It's actually a mountain that grows out of the Japanese Sea. And I don't know the name of it, but it isn't any of the others you'd expect it to be. And then you've got the 3 astronauts that landed on the moon. Can you name them?
Armstrong.
Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah. Can you get the third?
Oh no!
Oh,
It's a guy called Collins. Okay. Now the point of this exercise is you've both got the first 2, but you struggle with the third one. So this tells us a bit about positioning. What you want to be is on the mind shelf of individuals when they think about your product, because if you're not in the top 2, they're not going to think about you. Okay. So it's about positioning again. We know the top 2, but we can't name the third one. So you need to be really relevant in your marketplace and kind of like the go-to company if you can be that. So people think about you when they think about your service. And the reason for this is historical, because back in the old days, when they were selling TVs and Hoovers, they just went down the street and sold them because there was only one product. And then it got a bit more crowded in the marketplace. So we had Nike, Reebok, Marlboro Man, the Martini, anytime, any place, anywhere. So they were selling a little bit more on emotion and the Me Too image. You can be like me. And then that became saturated. And now it's more like a simple word. Like you've got Nike's just got a tick now. So it's really about how do I get a very quick and simple message into people's minds. Yeah, affordable. You know, when we were at Fitness First, it was affordable fitness. So people bought us because we were affordable. We weren't expensive like David Lloyd, and we weren't cheap like leisure centres. We were affordable, so we sat in the middle. Okay, so it's thinking about, what are we? We're right. What do we want to be seen as? Okay, so starting to think about one word that kind of defines you. Like Iron Lady was, it's 2 words, but Iron Lady defined her. Ethical defined The Body Shop. So kind of thinking, what was that one word that really could stand out for us, that we really, really do stand for? Okay. And it's not an easy thing to work out, but you can start asking your clients. And then the reason for all of this is, who was the first man on the moon? We got the first 2, the highest mountain, we got the first 2, because our minds can only hold 7 plus or 2 or minus 2, so 5 or 9 at most things in our heads around certain subjects. So we want to be in their mind's eye. And in reality, it's difficult after 2, as we've seen. So are you in your clients' minds? Do they think about you when they think about your service? And how do you position yourself? So the next thing is, let's get these slides to work, is to think about how we do this now. So let's get some focus. So here's another grid. So let's take British Airways, and this is going back a few years. Was their product high end, neutral, or low, would you say?
I
Um,
I don't really know actually.
Yeah,
I think it was perceived, wasn't it, to be almost like a luxury brand, but
yeah,
more
in it,
recently, not so.
yeah. Well, this is the interesting thing, isn't it? I think they've lost their market position now, but in the old days, they were certainly seen as high end product.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who were their market? Who were they after?
Business travellers,
Yeah, but high end.
high end.
Yeah.
Yeah, business travelers with money, and then their pricing. What was their pricing? High
On
end
the more
neutral.
expensive side, yeah.
Yeah, and then you'd expect a good service, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was their positioning strategy.
Yeah.
So
My experience on the way out here was not that though.
no, I know. Well, it's funny because they had a very strong position around it originally, and then they tried to do the Go airline, which was the cheap option, and nobody
Yeah.
bought them because they were so strong on quality. So
Yeah.
it failed. But then you look at EasyJet. Now, is their
Yeah.
product high and neutral or low?
Low, okay.
Yeah,
Lower,
it's low. It was
Low.
secondhand.
Yeah.
They were secondhand planes, so they're refurbished planes.
yeah.
Their market. Who were their market? Who were they after?
Well, the everyday Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All and everybody wants to fly cheap. So that was their market. What was their pricing? I know they're a bit trickery on their websites with how they do this, but in the old days it was like, yeah, it was
Yeah.
cheap as
No.
chips. And then what sort of service would you expect?
Well, lower.
Lower.
Yeah, it's a bucket seat from A to B. Get off. You pay. That's what you pay for. So they can get away with very poor service because people are just trying to get from A to B as cheap as possible. So they had a clear market. So there's two companies doing exactly the same, flying from A to B, but doing it in some completely different ways. So when we were with Fitness First, one of our things up, we looked at the marketplace and we saw David Lloyd and Holmes Place charging 50, 60, 70 pound a month. And then the option in the old days was actually a local leisure centre, £3 to come in. The lockers didn't work. You couldn't get your bag in the lockers. The showers were broken. Poor service. So we came in at an affordable price. So we came in at a good quality product, air conditioned gyms, nice locker rooms, wooden lockers. You can get your lockers in, showers that worked, all that kind of stuff. Air conditioning. The market we were after was to drag everybody from the leisure centres into private health clubs because they can now afford one, and to attack the high-end market, make it more affordable, so people paying 60 quid wondered why when they can get the same for 30. So we went to market to get that's what we were after. The pricing reflected that was £30 a month, so it was affordable. And the service levels, we had reasonably high service levels because we decided that we were going to love our clients to bits and give them a great experience to make it different. So we had a mixture of this. We had a low-end product, a high-end product, sorry. We were after everybody in the marketplace, based around affordability. The price reflected that, and we could get away with poor service, but we didn't want to. So, and that's how we grew from one club on the south coast to the largest in the world in 7 years, because we had a clear market position and it was recession proof as well. So just thinking about your business, if you had to work out, is your product high end, neutral, or low? Who's the market you're after? Define them quite clearly. What price are you expecting them to pay for your services? Is it going to be high, neutral, or low? And what service levels can they expect? It kind of clarifies for you then your position and what you're after. That makes sense?
Yeah.
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 So just thinking about this stuff, what is my positioning? Who am I after? What pricing? What service? Okay. So anybody want to have a stab at this?
I kind of feel like I want to be. This is hard to put into context, but because 10 for me would be Pentagram, which Ivan would probably know of,
Yeah.
and Wolf Olin's probably second to that.
Yeah.
So if 10 is a pentagram, I kind of see Luminous as a 7 going on. I would like it to be a 7 going on to 8, but you know, realistically, Pentagram it's not out of the question, but you know, that's the top of the field, right?
Yeah. Okay. So where would you want to be positioned against them? I mean, there's an opportunity to take their business. How could you take their business? Is there a way you could be more affordable, be more reliable, be quicker to market? Anything you could do to
I think
penetrate?
I think it would be for the people who would like the kind of service and creativity that comes out of Pentagram, and I guess the kind of innovation that comes out of Pentagram, but have not got the kind of budgets that, you know, Pentagram would command. So you know, so I guess I would, in the fullness of time, I guess I would look to be neutral to higher in terms of my products pricing.
Yeah.
You know, we have a dream to be like, you know, ever higher, but yeah, that comes with, I mean, Pentagram are like 500 strong. I think.
Yeah.
You know, they're mad.
But there's an opportunity there to steal some of their market, I guess, on price, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, it would be price, but I think the other sort of things, if someone's looking for the kind of service Pentagram would offer, then you've got to offer the kind of service Pentagram would offer, just at the budgets that you know you can sustain.
Can you offer that service level?
I would try, but there's a yes. I would give it my best shot. Obviously Pentagram for a reason, but I would always look to deliver the kind of service and innovation, you know, that they offer. But there is no but really. It's just within my means, I suppose.
Yeah, so
it's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I think it's just what I'm trying to do here is just promote your thinking around this, because it may be something to aspire towards. Actually, how do we create the processes and systems so that we can provide that service? Or you might do it differently. You might do it in a more automated way, you know, that enables you to do it. Or you might differentiate yourself a little bit from Pentagon, because actually we do it slightly different here. We do it more personalized, because I'm sure they do it more less personalized because it's a big organization.
I mean, it's a massive organization, so there's probably an element of that. And probably, to be frank, the kinds of clients that they work with are so massive as well that they probably don't have the time for the personalization either. You know, they know what they're going to get, and they know the challenges they have, and they know that somewhere like Pentagram's going to be able to deliver against those challenges, you know.
Yeah, I remember there was a positioning conversation once around a company that was positioned second behind. It's like you're behind Pentagon, you know, let's say you're second behind, so we're second, so we work harder, was their motto. Also, I think we'll provide the personalized service you don't get from the big boys, that kind of stuff. That's a clear positioning for you around, actually, we're going to love you to bits a lot more than a large organization, for example. That's a clear messaging for you. When you work with us, you get the personalized service. When you work for the big boys, you won't get it. Basically, you won't necessarily get that personalized touch.
Okay, cool.
Okay, right, so I'll move on unless anybody else has got anything they want to add.
I've got a lot to say there, because I mean, you probably don't know that I used to work at Pentagram. Matt knows this, but and so I've seen that they were really top of their game in lots of ways, and so for Matt's kind of industry, it is an interesting comparison, because they would have these massive clients who would not blink an eye at large fees either.
No,
you know, they'd be doing a branding for a bank or something, and you need to spend weeks and a lot of trial and error to get the right approach, and so
a lot of resource goes into getting it right. I can imagine.
Anyway,
so
it's a side issue, really, but
it's worth this. It's worth that you having a discussion, maybe. I just want to get I just want you to get to think about it, when you're, because this is about making sure you end up in the right meetings with the people you want to be in those meetings, and designing your business so you attract the right clients, really, that you want to come through the door. Okay, so you can look at your competitors and do this on your competitors as well if you wanted to see where the opportunity sits. What do they do? How can we differentiate ourselves? Okay. What are they not doing that we could actually do to steal a bit of a market share? So the idea behind this is finding your X factor. Why do people buy from you? So to give you an example for this, what's the extra? What's the difference? So I'll give you an example for me. If I'm going into a sales meeting, so let's say I'm a business coach, I'm going into a sales meeting, and I tell them I'm professional, I deliver on time, I'm qualified, I'm efficient, I'm personable, and I get all that across in a meeting. And you walk out feeling quite good. And as you're leaving the meeting, the business owner says, we're interviewing 6 other coaches today. We'll let you know. Now you're feeling not so confident because they'll all say they're personal. They'll all say they're qualified, deliver on time. So there's nothing special I've told them about myself in that meeting for them to buy me. If that makes sense. So what we've got to find is your X factor that nobody else does, that sits at the top here. Okay. That makes you different. So when you're in that meeting, you, even if they're speaking to 6 other people who do what you do, there's this extra thing that nobody else does. And you can find this out by asking your clients, but you can also think about it for yourself. So to give you an example, I was working with a printer. So below the line there, all the things that you'd expect: good quality print, friendly advice, design, speed, volume, reorder. But a lot of printers don't deliver on time. They don't build the right relationships. There's no stability in their service. There's no consistency. So we kind of find that we found the things that other printers don't do well. And that's what you talk about. You know, you can say, look, you know, I'm here today. You'll be talking to other printers. They'll all do X, Y, Z. This is why I'm different. And this is the unique selling feature for you. That's why people should buy you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So think about what it is over and above that line, the X factor you bring to the table. Okay, because you want to be separating yourself out in those sales meetings in the minds of your clients, and this will be around your positioning as well. Any questions on that?
No, it's all, yeah, I can understand those questions. Yeah.
So kind of just have a think for yourself, and then I think we're probably so what makes you different? What's the extra? What's the X factor you bring to what you do? So have a think about that. And I think we'll just wrap up now. So you want everything, you want your word or your statement around your positioning to run through your product, your pricing, your promotion, your distribution, with your customers, with the environment, with the press. So everything that word, you know, ethical, for instance, Body Shop would have run through all of this stuff, you know. So just making sure that when you get that kind of thing, that, you know, we're local quality local providers, it will run through all of this. Okay. And be in your messaging. So make sure when you work out your positioning, actually, how do we make sure it runs through everything we do, including your staff when they come on board as well. Okay. And if you can get this right, it's about having the right market, the right product, the right service, the right price at the right time. Okay. So it's all about standing out, making sure that you're the go-to person in the area that you want to be, in the catchment you want to be in. It doesn't have to be worldwide, just has to be in your local catchment. So, and then lastly, people buy from me because get your colleagues' views, look at your competitors, highlight their USPs, your USPs, talk to your clients, and then work out what makes you special, and then that's what you sell, basically. So that's.
I just got a question on looking at competitors, because it's one thing that I find quite hard to do in terms of comparing where you are with other people's costs, for instance. Certainly in the design world, I don't know about you, Matt, but like, it'd be quite hard to say, well, where would you, because you never see anyone else's quotes, and each quote is for an individual rather than a product. So it's quite hard for us to kind of, in the design world, to say where you actually are positioned.
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
yeah, carry on. No, carry on, Matt.
Maybe we'll have a bigger discussion around it, Ivan. But I think I tend to look at it in like you know, a tier system, 3 different sort of levels. The lowest level being geography, so your immediate competitors, right? And then you start looking more broadly. But when you start to look at more broadly, then it does center around your value systems. So, you know, if you're competing with other people, other businesses, then, you know, it's your service offering around your values, what makes you, and who, it's kind of like everything you've been discussing here, you know, and it all kind of relates back to branding in a way, and your positioning about who it is that your tribe is, you know, and then out of knowing that, you then can start to spot who your competitors are, who are also targeting that market. Does that make sense?
So I've always found it difficult to work out who our competitors are.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I think you're quite unique with your product in some ways, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, we're unique in Britain, I think is the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
Internationally, there's one company that's more established in America. They are the go-to company for high-end grease manufacturing equipment, but everyone says they're eye-wateringly expensive. There's an awful lot of stuff produced in the Asian subcontinent that is used scrap parts from old ships that have a terrible reputation. So we're sort of mid-positioned where you get the good quality, but you don't get the eye-wateringly high price with it.
No, it's interesting because getting back to Matt's point on this, it's about your values, establishing your values, what you stand for. That's part of your positioning. So the product and service are a given, but actually it's your values and how you're going to interact with your clients and your promises to your clients, and getting that on your website. So we did the values exercise in the leadership course, if you remember, thinking about three companies you admire and why, and what is it about those companies you admire. They're kind of like your core values, and you can take those and build those into your website. And also what you won't stand for. So it's not so much about what you do, it's how you're going to interact with the client, or your promises to the client. Delivering on time, for example, is always a challenge for large organizations. Some do it well, some don't. But as a small operator, there's a much more chance to be agile. So there's a real edge. You know, we promise to be agile, responsive, go with the flow, talk to you, communicate with you, all that kind of stuff, versus a large organization where you're not always going to get the same person each time you talk to them. Things are going to fall between the lines. They're not going to be paying as much attention to you as a small business would, for example. So it's just thinking where's the edge for me, and how do we use it?
Yes, I mean, we use experience as our edge, because I've manufactured grease in a factory before, so which is what a lot of the suppliers haven't done before.
And I think it's the same with anybody with an SME background. You know, they're specialists. They want to demonstrate their specialisms. So well, hopefully that's been useful today. Just to get you thinking. I know you're not going to have all the answers today, but it's just to get you to think about you. I'll probably create you more headaches than I have solved problems today.
It's good. It's good. Thought-provoking actually, because you do forget about these things when you
do. The day-to-day gets in the way, doesn't it? And you just forget, don't you? So and I think that we've got some more of these, Matt, and everybody coming up. So just check on the Signal website for the next one. But I'm going to run through some more stuff around. Now you've got your positioning right, how do you go and find the clients and all that kind of stuff? Okay, but I'd like to thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your holiday, Matt, and you guys, John and Jonah, enjoy yourself today in the sunshine. And either you working the rest of the day, or you got the day off?
I am, although I have got a drink at lunch, so slight break.
Good man. All right, enjoy the rest of the day. Cheers. Take care.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.